With the recent announcement of the TikTok ban, I've seen some troubling takes online. Hopefully, this video can illuminate the situation, give you the facts, and I will be providing my own thoughts as well. Hello, ladies, men, and non binary friends. Welcome back. It's official. The House, the Senate, and Joe Bibbidi approved of the foreign aid bill that gave billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine, and also managed to sneak in the intent to divest or ban TikTok. And of course, I have thoughts on this. TikTok is my largest platform. Many of you probably know me from there. And if you're not following me from there and have just found me on YouTube, hi. Thanks for being here. So, of course, I'm biased, but I know also that many people on YouTube here are biased as well because they more or less despise TikTok. So, there's a healthy diversity of opinions here, we'll say. Regardless of whether or not you like TikTok, banning an app used for communication and community building is absolutely a violation of our First Amendment rights as Americans. And TikTok has already announced that they will be suing the US government over this now that this bill has passed. Even if you're not a fan of TikTok and you feel like this doesn't affect you, this sets a precedent. The fact that our government can ban any app they feel like at any point is worrying and does not represent the values I was repeatedly told this country stands for. And if we're being so very real right now, where on earth are all of your favorite commentary YouTubers going to get their content from if they don't have TikTokers to laugh at? The ecosystem of content very much starts with TikTok. New information, new scandals, new dramas that come out, any sort of content that, for better or for worse, is doing something different. It's all starting on TikTok. Or if it's starting on other platforms, it's more easily promoted on TikTok. Because TikTok, as a platform, it's much easier for things to go viral due to the algorithm favoring things based on viewership and popularity versus subscriber base. I am active across pretty much every major platform. I do social media for my work. I've grown platforms for clients before. The easiest platform to gain growth and followers quickly is TikTok, by far. So if this is just like you hating on TikTok as an app, that's fine. But it has probably benefited more people than it's hurt, including you. If you hate TikTok, chances are you've probably gotten a laugh or two out of content involving someone making fun of something on TikTok. One of the channels I follow, Jester Bell, posted this to her community page. Obviously, don't send her any hate, by the way. This was just, I found that what she said was a really good way of illustrating one of my points. Is it bad that I'm for this? Mainly because I'm not a TikTok fan, lol. I bet YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels will explode after this. The majority of comments underneath that post were praising her and praising this announcement. I was cheering when I heard the news. Thank you, this is poisoning the youth. We did it, boys. Gen Alpha is saved. Nothing of value is being lost, so I'm totally for it. This is a good thing. The young kids will find something new to be obsessed with within a month. Probably the best for our overall national mental health, at long last. But there was some pushback. I dislike social media in general, but proposing a ban is way too far, and y'all should realize that. You can't just give the government the power to ban anything you don't like, especially when it comes to expression. To me, this is a great loss, honestly. TikTok's algorithm is way easier to modify to get good content than YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels ever is. In my experience, YouTube Shorts is just full of misogyny, racism, alpha sigma dudes, and stuff like that because YouTube uses my location in its algorithm, which is horrible because I live in fucking Oklahoma. Instagram is full of just really empty stuff, man. It's all share this with two friends and then this will happen. Art that I don't really care about or OnlyFans models, which is extra weird because I even changed the setting to identify me as a straight woman. So I don't know, man. I'm really unhappy about this. Why? What is it that TikTokers do so bad that YouTubers do so good? Frankly, I just see this as the boomer government coming in and telling us you can't have this. Yeah, let's just laugh our rights away. If you really think this is just about Chinese shareholders, you're not paying attention. People celebrating should really read the bill's wording. I'm not much of a fan of this app or any social media for that matter, but this seems a little bit like government overreach. I'm for it, though I want it to be sold to an American company rather than the IP banned in the USA. As an IT professional, I don't like the idea of US government having the power to IP ban a website they don't like. I prefer a free internet rather than one the government approves of. I left a comment as well, and I admit I probably could have been a little nicer about it. TikTok has been the fastest way to get accurate information about Palestine, organized boycotts, protests, and activism in general. general. Please understand how privileged you sound by just saying, quote, TikTok bad. If you think the government is doing this for our own good and not to assert further control on an increasingly hostile population, especially young people, you've lost the plot. Actually, no, I stand by what I said. TikTok has been the fastest way of disseminating information in our modern era without relying on traditional media, which can often be biased in favor of powerful people and political parties. TikTok is an incredibly valuable tool which has allowed people to share their expertise and build momentum on political movements, particularly those in support of Palestine, which traditional media has staunchly pushed back against. Calling it a silly dancing app in the year 2024 just shows that you're grossly misinformed. This ban is also on the heels of Instagram updating its terms and automatically opting all of its users into its limits of political content, and there were users on both sides of the political spectrum that were very outspoken against this. This is not okay, civil rights attorney Scott Hetchinger posted on Twitter. Instagram is now trying to suppress political content just months before the next presidential election. Why is Meta attempting to censor the democratic process? Asked Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Never thought I would agree with Marsha, but here we are. But what is political content in Instagram's eyes? Well, in-app settings describe political content as, quote, likely to mention governments, elections, or social topics that affect a group of people and/or society at large. So it's not just politics. That last line is intentionally vague and could be talking about any groups of people that are routinely brought into politics. This could easily be used as a gateway to suppress any and all content surrounding queer people, trans people, disabled people, people of color, indigenous people, or any other group that has been, quote, made political by simply existing. As much as I would love to believe these corporations will do the right thing and not impose that kind of censorship, historically, that has not been the case. In America, for months, you had and still have traditional media pushing out one very specific narrative about Palestine, doing whatever they can to put them in a negative light to justify this genocide. On TikTok, we saw exactly what it looked like on the ground and how Palestinians and their families were being directly affected by these bombings and routine attacks. You had young people all over the world pushing back, boycotting companies that supported Israel, calling out their elected officials for supporting this genocide. Many companies suffered tremendous losses, and elected officials on both sides have continued to feel heat from it. Palestine does not have a military. I learned this from TikTok. Over 30,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military. I learned this from TikTok. The US military and police have training camps in Israel. I learned this from TikTok. I also learned hundreds of recipes, how to be a better partner to someone with ADHD, how to change the oil in my car. I learned more about the history of this country from actual indigenous people versus the very, very whitewashed version of history I was given as a child. I created my own community of over 70,000 people where I can just chat about my favorite shows and characters. Not to mention the small and medium-sized businesses that rely on their TikTok following for revenue. According to Oxford Economics, these businesses have generated nearly $15 billion in revenue for the US and contributed $24.2 billion to the US GDP in 2023 alone. I also don't want to paint TikTok as being some kind of utopia because it certainly is not. You very much get out of it what you put into it, and there's a lot of stupid and even dangerous stuff on that app, but no more than any other social media app that we use. And despite Facebook's seemingly endless lawsuits and Twitter's blatant endorsement of right-wing extremists and white supremacists, neither one of these apps are at risk of banning. But TikTok is. Why is that? The major argument that everyone is making is about security concerns. And again, why is TikTok the only app in this discussion? But fine, I'll humor you. Let's talk about TikTok's security concerns. I keep hearing that this has to do with national security, national security. I would love to talk about national security because as of 2022, the US user data from TikTok is already being housed in the US. Yeah, remember when our government tried to ban TikTok the first time? Trump threatened to ban TikTok over security concerns. I'll give you a little refresher. I'm going to be honest, this part is kind of boring, so you can skip ahead to this timestamp if you don't want to hear about this whole process. Trump signed an executive order banning US companies from doing business with TikTok after the 15th of September 2020. Microsoft tried to buy it. Oracle teamed up with Walmart and pitched TikTok Global, which would be a new company spawned from ByteDance. The two companies would own a combined 20% stake, with ByteDance shareholders, including the CEO and employees, owning the remaining 80%. Trump also pushed for the deal and approved it that year. A major tenet of that deal was the promise that TikTok would move to Oracle Cloud. TikTok Global would not come to pass. Trump lost the election, the executive order was dropped, but ByteDance was afraid of a similar ban in the future. I wonder why. So they made a deal with Oracle anyway. In 2022, TikTok began to move US data to Oracle Cloud, causing Google to lose one of its biggest customers. The social media platform continues to operate data center leases, but plans to eventually move everything over to Oracle, which leases space with some of the same providers. A year later, TikTok announced Project Texas, a $1.5 billion promise to hand over data to Oracle, with source code overseen by an in-house committee approved by the US government called TikTok US Data Security. The bottom line is this: American data stored on American soil by an American company overseen by American personnel, TikTok Shu Chu said in a congressional appearance. At the same time, in hopes of heading off similar risks in Europe, TikTok also launched Project Clover, a plan to keep all European user data within the EU, a project that has led to new data centers in Ireland and an enormous Green Mountain project in Norway. According to CNBC, Oracle acts as the data center for US TikTok users. And according to Routers.com, TikTok has previously been storing its US data at its own data centers in Virginia, with a backup in Singapore. It will now delete data on US users from its own data centers and rely fully on Oracle's servers, it said. So what is the big deal then? Why is there still so much pushback on this app if its US data and operations are already exclusively in the US? It might be worth noting that TikTok's top competitors, Google and Meta, have been significant contributors to political candidates for years. And Google and Meta are actually funding both sides of the political aisle. According to OpenSecrets.org, between the years of 2021 and 2022, Google gave over $855,000 to both the Democrats and Republicans within U.S. Congress. Meta ended up giving over $638,000 to Democrats, over $43,000 to Republicans, and nearly $10,000 to anyone identifying as other. Oh, and they did give over $180,000 to Joe Biden as well. As a reminder, any articles that I've used in this video are linked in the description. You can check them out yourself. I'm not a journalist. I love research, and I always make sure to check my sources, but this all sounds very, very fishy to me. At the very least, there is a significant double standard in place. And I never want to jump down the conspiracy theorist hole because that's a dark spiral that many don't come back from. But it's clear that the US government really wants to get rid of TikTok, and if it were only a concern for national security, they would have done something about Facebook by now, and they haven't. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't really have a way I feel I can end this video. I thought that this was going to be a really short, quick thing talking about the TikTok ban, maybe a 2 to 3 page script. But I just kept writing and writing because this is something that I'm very passionate about, and hopefully after this, you will be too. If this was helpful, if you learned something, consider leaving a like and subscribing. But honestly, if you've made it to the end of this video, I feel like I've done what I set out here to do. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Hi everyone. Since filming this video, I have something else that I'd like to share. I'll be really quick about it. Just stick around a little bit longer and I'd really appreciate it. This is Rwanda Wood, and she and her family are trying to get out of Gaza. I understand that people are worried about scams. Rwanda's campaign has been verified. You can also find her on TikTok and Instagram as well if you need more verification. She's 20 years old and was supposed to start university this year, but her school and her home were bombed out of existence by Israel. For those who don't know, Egypt has tried to make a profit off of Palestinian suffering and is charging $5,000 for each person's entry into the country, an entry fee which before the war was only a few $100s. I made a video about this on my TikTok, and in 24 hours we raised $600, which is amazing, but there's still a long way to go. If you can donate $1, $5, anything helps. I know it's a lot to ask in this economy, but these people are fighting for their lives. If you would like to help but don't have the funds, I have a monetized TikTok in my description, and all of the funds made from that video will be sent to her campaign. Watch it all the way through, leave a comment, repost. It's literally 1 minute long. Thank you for listening. I wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't dire. She's a young woman who has barely entered into adulthood. She has so much of her life ahead of her. Let's try to make the world a better place for her and her family. Thank you so much.